So hello everyone, welcome to EduTap. I am Surbi and this is Perspective 360 Degree, your one-stop solution for current affairs, descriptive writing and answer writing evaluation. Welcome back all the aspirants who are joining in, who have been continuous followers of Perspective 360 Degree and EduTap channel. We hope and we are always working hard so that all these initiatives benefit you and help you succeed and help you achieve your dream goal. For those of you who are joining Perspective 360 Degree for the first time, this initiative is meant for those who are preparing for regulatory bodies examinations, RBI, SEBI, NABARD, any three of these or any other similar examinations. So there is a descriptive portion that makes a part of your syllabus in phase 2 part of the paper, and this has been really tough for students because questions from this portion have been asked from current affairs. So the focus of Perspective 360 Degree is to teach you current affairs topics in a way that we prepare you for descriptive writing. That's why we follow a question answer approach on Perspective 360 Degree. And hold on, not just this, you can write your own model answers and get them evaluated by us entirely free of cost. What you have to do is just post your answers in the comment section under this video after watching this session. The only condition here is that you have to post your answers in the next 48 hours for free evaluation. So I hope everything is clear. If you haven't subscribed to EduTap yet, kindly do that now. And let's begin with today's discussion. The topic for today is budget, the facts you didn't know. And okay, thank you, Sejal. Alright, so today we didn't have to stop for the question. Thanking Sejal for that question about audio and video being clear. So without wasting any time, today we can begin the discussion. Good evening everyone. Gomati, Amisha, Sejal, Lucifer and Rohit. Hello everybody. Welcome back for joining. Welcome and thank you for joining in again. So budget and the facts you didn't know about it. Now see, on our channel, we have carried out detailed discussions about what was presented in this year's budget or the interim budget that was presented this year. But I understand that Indian political system is not a part of your syllabus, so many of the details of budget, like the basic details, like where is it presented, for how many days does the discussion goes on, these are very basic facts which are required for answering any question and also answering questions in the interview. So to address first of all the objective part of your exam, the descriptive part with regards to budget, and finally the interview questions, today's topic has been taken on priority. So I don't think I have to show you the news that has been appearing with regards to budget. Nowadays every news is with respect to the interim budget that was presented. So these are the news headlines. I've not taken a specific screenshot of any because today it is going to be a very static portion oriented discussion. We are not discussing interim budget here. What we are discussing is the basis of budget. Why is it formulated? Who presents it? What are the constitutional provisions related to it? And what is the process of getting budget passed? So every concept is going to be clarified here. For those of you who are preparing for RBI Grade B, brace up. In the economic and social issues part of your syllabus, that is paper 1, you have a topic called priorities and recommendations of economic survey and union budget. The second topic that I find relevant here is under the general topic sections of finance and management syllabus. You have this topic called the union budget, concepts, approach and broad trends. So this is going to be very important for you. For other important concepts, I'm sure you must have been referring to Kritika ma'am's videos with regards to the economic and finance concepts with respect to budget. We today are going to focus on the descriptive component. So for NABARD Grade A aspirants, everything with regards to economic and social issues. Now sadly, Indian budget or budget and economic survey is not mentioned separately in your syllabus, but it still holds relevance in your economic and social issues part of the syllabus. That is paper 2, section 1. Then for SEBI Grade A examination, there is a topic under general topics. There is a part of syllabus with the name general topics. So here direct and indirect taxes which are levied by the budget or finance bill, non-tax sources of revenue, GST, finance commission, fiscal policy, FRBM Act, which is always the provisions of which are specified along with the budget. That's additional documents. So that's why this topic is relevant for you, and obviously for English writing skills this topic is going to hold great relevance for all the 3 examinations. So hello guys, all of you, thank you for coming back. Now let's see what's the expected question, and today we are doing a question for 400 words that will fetch you 10 marks. So provide a brief overview of the union budget, emphasizing the typical procedures it entails. Additionally, elucidate the necessity of an interim budget. So can be a little tough to understand, but first of all, in the first reading what you should do is highlight the keywords. So what can be the keywords that we can see here? Let me just take a pen in red color to highlight the keywords. So if I read this question again, the first keyword that I see is the union budget itself. That's the first keyword. The second is typical procedures it entails. The third keyword here is necessity of an interim budget. So these 4 are the keywords here, the first one being union budget, the second is typical procedures, necessity, and then the interim budget. So this should be your first step. After the first reading you should be able to identify the keywords in the question, and in the second reading you should be able to identify micro questions. That means the sub parts of the question, and it's always the best approach to identify sub parts, because that eases out your answer writing a lot. When you are in the middle of writing the answer and you don't know what to write next, you can rely on your keywords and micro questions and see what is going to be your next step in framing that answer. So first of all, let's see what are going to be the micro questions. In the first part, they're asking you to provide a brief overview of union budget, emphasizing the typical procedures it entails. That means what are the procedures related to budget, or what are the procedures that are related to passing of the budget in the parliament. So we will talk about all the 7-8 steps. Then additionally here means additionally, that means you might have to write a short note, because I can see that this part is going to be very long, so it is mostly going to take around 250 words to answer just this part. So the second part says additionally elucidate the necessity of an interim budget, and the necessity of an interim budget is not long. It cannot take more than 50 to 70 words. So I understand that the first part is going to hold more weightage according to the reading that we are doing, and the second part is going to hold less weightage. So let's begin writing our answer. And this is the answer blueprint that you have to follow. Always start with an introduction where you focus on the topic. In this case the topic is union budget, so we'll write about overview of the union budget. We'll give the overview of union budget, when was it started for the first time, who brings it out, which ministry brings it out. All of that basic facts should be mentioned in the introduction, so that you are done with the rest of you can easily and restfully address all the parts of the question. Nothing extra comes to your mind in between. Then in the body part 1, explain the union budget a little bit more in detail, talk about some constitutional provisions. Just 2-3 will be there. You will not have to remember a lot of things, and some documents would be there that you must have studied as part of your finance and economic and social issues. So that will be explained. Then the procedures regarding a union budget, a brief overview of all the procedures. There are 7 to 8 steps which can be explained in 1 line or half line statements, so we'll be talking about that. And finally the interim budget, or the need of or the necessity of an interim budget, that will be talked about. In the conclusion, we don't have a way forward, because this is not a question that is asking us about challenges or problems associated with the scheme. What we can provide in the conclusion is a brief summary. Since the question has 2 parts to it, so we will give summary of 2 lines which will summarize both the parts of the question. So let's begin with introduction. See, a union budget, first of all, it is the fiscal statement of the government of India. Now, I always say, if you are born in a country, you have the rights to resources over that country, land, water, money, everything. So, to exercise those rights, human beings have developed this idea of governments, of electing governments, of choosing governments. And similarly in India, we have we have this method of choosing our government who decides the division of resources, or who decides the division of money available, the resources, other natural resources or material resources available. So that division has to be held on a periodic basis. So that's done on an annual basis in our country. In most of the countries, it is done on an annual basis. And when this division is done, it is brought out in public eye, like the citizens can have access to this document of division of resources called the union budget. And in that document, it is presented what are the sources of revenue. That means where is government getting its money from. and where does the government want to or plan to spend in the next fiscal year. It has to also give some statements where it spent in the last fiscal year. So that why is the government doing it? Because you are the rightful owners of all the resources on your land in the sovereign territory of India, the citizens of the country. So the government basically tries to keep everything transparent. It shares its plans with you, and and hence it has to bring it in the public eye. Not just this, you have MPs elected by you with the help of direct voting in Lok Sabha elections. So these MPs, when they sit in the parliament, they have to pass that budget document because they are in a form, they are representing the people of India. So it has to be passed in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha cannot stop the budget because it's a money bill. So it has to be passed in Lok Sabha. That means it has to be approved by the people of the country, that yes, these expenses can be made and these sources of revenue are good enough for our country. So all the money, first of all the money that is collected by government goes to consolidated fund of India. Just like you have a bank account where all your salary goes, every money, all kinds of sources of money are credited. Money from all sources is credited in your bank account. Similarly, Government of India has consolidated fund of India. That is the kitty, or that is kind of a bank account. If I talk about synonym or a similar reference for an individual, for the Government of India, it's the consolidated fund. So that's where all the money of government lies. So now giving a brief description in the upcoming year, and it also shows that where the government is planning to make its revenue from, or where the revenue has been coming from, where the money has been coming from. That is mostly from tax sources, non-tax sources. So everything is mentioned in the budget. So first of all, start by explaining what the budget is. You can also call this as a definition, that the union budget is an annual financial statement. It's very important to mention annual here, and financial statement presented by Government of India, outlining its estimated revenue. Revenue means where it is getting its money from, and expenditure, where does it aim to spend the money in building roads, bridges, defense, anything, pensions, salaries, things like that, and expenditure for the upcoming fiscal year, so that everything is there in the public eye. And it is a crucial document that reflects government's fiscal policies and priorities influencing the country's economic trajectory. When we say that we are spending less than around 1.5% of our GDP on health, that means, and we say that we need to spend more on health and more on education, and so what we are saying, that the government needs to prioritize its expenditure, and the government needs to prioritize more policies or more schemes towards it's for the government and for the country. So it also impacts country's economic trajectory. Now some historical information for you. The first budget, it was not presented after independence, it was presented before independence. The first budget in pre-independent era was presented in 1860 by James Wilson of the British Indian government. You can use this answer to enhance the kind of facts that are there in your question and to fetch more marks. The other fact that I have here for you is that after independence, India's first budget was presented in 1947 by finance minister of that time, who was R.K. Shanmugam Shetty. Then as of now, the national budget is presented by, as you know, the finance minister, but which division or which department prepares the budget? It is the budget division under Department of Economic Affairs under the Ministry of Finance. So they present the budget, and the budget is subject to Parliament for parliamentary approval, and so it is presented in the Parliament for discussion and approval. And so basically it is used as a tool to manage country's financial resources and to achieve government's economic and social policies. So both of these policies can be achieved by how you are spending your money, how a country is spending its money, and finance minister is the in charge for that, for preparing that outline and for preparing that plan. So it also helps to identify potential economic risks and opportunities and to make informed decisions about spending and taxation. Now why does this happen? Because budget is subject to parliamentary approval. That means discussions in parliament take place before the budget is actually passed. So potential economic risks and opportunities, they are also highlighted in the budget. For example, in this year's interim budget, you must have seen that projections for GDP have been given, and it has been shown that there are some risks to Indian economy. That means global shocks are there which could impact Indian economy. Inflation has been high and the government has been trying to control it. So potential economic risks based on past experiences and upcoming forecast and the opportunities, they are laid very clearly in the budget, and the budget helps to identify such things. Now we'll move on to the Let's Delve Deeper section. In the Let's Delve Deeper section, first of all, we'll explain some constitutional provisions of the budget. I'll tell you what documents are presented as part of budget, and this is going to be very interesting from here. And then some procedures will be mentioned, starting from where one ministry thinks that we need more money next year. So the ministry gives out its estimates for the next year, and then the finance minister under his or her officers collects all these estimates, prepares the budget and presents to the parliament, and how it is passed. So it's going to be very, very interesting. If you have any doubts or additions to make till this point, kindly let me know in the chat section. I'll be happy to address your doubts, and if we can learn from your additions, nothing better than that. So Nitya, good evening. Ma'am, how do we structure it as each budget is themed around a priority? Okay, managed by RBI. AJ, this question basically is not asked about this year's budget. Every year the budget is themed around some priority. For example, last year we had a lot of capital expenditure coming out from the budget, but this is not a current affairs based question. This is a general question that will help you understand the upcoming current affairs more, because in the upcoming days budget would be passed, the interim budget would be passed, and also the actual budget would be presented by the new government that takes over after Lok Sabha elections are held. So these facts are important for you. That's why this topic has been taken. Don't worry about the recent theme or the previous year theme of the budget as of now. Prepare that for the objective portion separately. Also, since we are talking about the objective portion, kindly prepare this point very well for your objective part of the syllabus, because these are the things which get asked very frequently. These basic things: who prepares the budget, which division, which ministry, which department under a ministry. All departments under Ministry of Finance are very important. Kindly remember those if you are preparing for this exam. So now I have a list for you. This is a snapshot from the Business Standard, and here for the objective part of your exam, all the important articles which can be related to the budget, they are mentioned. So after watching this session, when you download the PDF, kindly read them out in detail. I'll highlight the important ones during the course of this discussion. For example, the annual fiscal statement. Annual fiscal statement is Article 112. This is the actual budget. This is the article that gives constitutional status to the budget. So budget is also known as the annual financial statement, and which article is related to it? Article 112. Now appropriation bills, like means can you spend? I'll explain this. And consolidated fund is mentioned under Article 266. There is contingency fund you have. There is finance commission that you have, which is constituted almost every 5 years by the president. So everything can be found on this slide. Kindly download the PDF of this lecture tomorrow from our Telegram channel and learn these articles. So now let's explain the budget a little bit more. There are some constitutional provisions related to budget. Now, do you have to mention all these constitutional provisions? No. The answer is no. So as per Article 112, just mention Article 112 and some more articles that we'll be doing and get done with it. So as per Article 112 of Constitution, the Union Budget is a statement of government's estimated receipts. Estimated receipts means how much money will the government be collecting this year and expenditures. Alright. Then it is also known as annual financial statement under Article 112 of the government. However, just remember the term budget is not mentioned in the Constitution. So you can choose to write this information or ignore these. These are some additional points for you. The term budget is nowhere mentioned in the Constitution. The word or the term annual financial statement is used for the term budget. Then there are some important budget documents. That budget is not just one document. It has multiple documents as part of it, as you see in that red colored bag that our finance minister carries on the presentation, on the day of presentation of budget. So there are key budget documents. Apart from the budget speech, there are other major documents which include annual financial statement. As I told you, this is the actual budget. Then there is demand for grants. Demand for grants means demand for money. How much money do we require to run this country? Then finance bill. Finance bill, under this basically the government can levy taxes and fees, some types of taxes can be levied so that money can be collected by the government. So the government can levy taxes or can collect money from people or from other sources only if it is approved by parliament, and it gets approved in the name of finance bill under article 110. And many times, if government feels that some provisions are very important for the country, so those provisions are related indirectly with consolidated fund of India, which is concerned with your finance bill, and these provisions are made legal and are passed by the government or parliament as part of finance bill. For example, the Aadhaar Act. So it was said that Aadhaar, if it becomes constitutional, it will help people access direct benefit transfer services, or government plans to launch schemes which will directly be linked to Aadhaar cards. The beneficiaries will be linked directly to their Aadhaar cards, and only then they will be able to get benefits from the government. And monetary benefits are involved. That means Consolidated Fund of India is involved. Consolidated Fund of India is involved. That means finance bill can be used to pass the Aadhaar Act. So Aadhaar Act was passed as a part of finance bill. So if the government of the day feels that some act is very important and it might be opposed by the parliament, so what it does it is attached with finance bill itself, and it is passed as part of budget of that year. So that's done by almost all the governments for the betterment of the country. Then there are fiscal policy statements mandated under Financial Responsibility and Budgetary Management Act of 2003. Under FRBM Act of 2003, the fiscal deficit has to be under control both by central government and the state government. So some fiscal policy statements are mandated by FRBM Act, and the government also has to justify if the fiscal deficit has not been in control in the previous financial year. So all these documents are also presented as part of budget. Then macroeconomic framework statement and medium term fiscal policy fiscal policy strategy statement. You can choose to not write this because this question is going to be very long. Then there are some additional documents for explanations for expenditure and receipt of budget, expenditure profile, budget at a glance, memorandum explaining provisions in the finance bill, and things like that. All right. Now moving on to the procedures, this is going to be the most interesting part. There are 9 procedures involved. The first of all, it is budget formulation. First of all, budget as a document has to be created. How does it get created? How does the finance minister know that Ministry of Health needs X thousand crore rupees for its operation in the next year, or Ministry of Education needs this much year? So all the ministries, they have to give their inputs to the finance ministry so that budget can be created and their demands can be agreed to, demands with regards to appropriation of money. So budget formulation, first of all, it begins with various ministries and departments submitting their budgetary proposals to the Ministry of Finance. This is the homework that the Ministry of Finance and other ministries do. Then these proposals encompass planned expenditures and expected revenues for the upcoming year. If ministries are making some revenues or if they have some expenditures, they are mentioned in those proposals given by various ministries. Then revenue estimation is done. Where does the money come from? And the government also assesses its potential sources of revenue, including taxes, duties, non-tax revenues. Everything gets assessed before the budget is presented. It also considers the economic climate, growth projections. For example, GDP projections are given as part of budget, just reminding you here. And external factors influencing revenue generation. For example, if WTO is trying to curb our subsidies or any other projections are going on, then all these things are collected and understood, and a lot of studies carried out before creating the budget. Then revenue estimation is done. Now expenditure planning is done by the finance ministry. So allocation of funds for different sectors and programs based on policy objectives of the government. How much money? See, first step is that the ministries ask for some amount of money. In this step, expenditure planning, the finance minister and the finance ministry decide how much money can be actually allocated to each ministry. Then finally, when that expenditure and revenue planning and estimation has been done, the budget is finally presented, and it is presented on 1st of February since 2017. Before 2017, it was presented on the last day of February. So your fiscal year was somewhere pushed ahead a little bit. So it was it was decided in 2017 that on 1st February itself we'll launch the budget, and a day preceding that is last year of January itself, we'll present the economic survey, which will give some highlights of the previous year, that what has happened in the previous year. For example, in 23 to the year 24, what all has happened, what all basically it is a conversation with the people of India, that we went through these times, how we steered, what were the solutions that were provided by the finance ministry and the government, have we improved on policy level, on poverty levels, what are the policies launched by government. So this year we did not have the economic survey. What we had was the Indian economy a review, and we discussed that documents like few days ago. Kindly refer to it and look at the observations. We'll have the final economic survey once the new government is elected. So budget presentation is done. Now obviously there will be opposition, there will be some discussion happening. So the next step is general discussion that happens in the parliament. It takes place in both houses of the parliament and lasts usually for 3 to 4 days, and these are the days where your newspapers, editorials, headlines, everything is filled about discussion of budget, which sector has got more allocation, which sector has seen a decrease in allocation. All the news channels are talking about budget for the next 3-4 days, and for 1 week as well. But here the budget is not passed because some expertise is required to look after the budget, to see everything is perfect or not, because it's the money of citizens of India. So then after the general discussion, scrutiny by departmental committees is held, where you have experts who actually carry out scrutiny with the help of some bureaucrats and some other experts. So after the general discussion on the budget is over, the house is adjourned. The houses are adjourned for about 3-4 weeks, and during those 3-4 weeks, all these departmental standing committees, they take their time to evaluate and understand all the sides of budget, and present their views that everything is okay or not, or some changes have to be made. So, and they discuss in detail the demands for grants of the concerned ministers and prepare reports on them. So if they feel that some ministry is demanding a lot of money, then a report can be prepared that please reduce the amount of money that has been demanded by this particular ministry, because we need more allocation of money towards, let's say, health and education. So this is all done by departmental standing committees and their scrutiny. Then after that, again after those 3-4 weeks, again the parliament sits, and voting on demands for grants occurs. That means if the budget is passed, then that money is granted and everything happens. And if the budget is not passed, then it is question about legitimacy of the present government. That means the present government is not good enough to rule the country, to look after the consolidated fund of India, to look after this country. That also raises a question, that this government is legitimate enough or not. So after the report of departmental standing committees, the Lok Sabha takes up voting of demands of grants. That means voting for whatever has been demanded by the present government as money from consolidated fund of India, that please let us take out this much money from consolidated fund of India to give to our various ministries to adequately allocate it for our different schemes and policies. So a demand becomes a grant after it has been duly voted. Then there are 2 bills that have to be passed. The first one is appropriation bill. The constitution, it provides for appropriation under article 114. Basically article 114 says that not even 1 rupee can be withdrawn from government's account, that is consolidated fund of India, unless a law has been made on that. So if you have to create a law to allow the present government to take out money of consolidated fund of India so that it can distribute it for the development of the country, it can distribute it amongst various ministries to carry out various projects, then some law has to be there, some act has to be there. So appropriation bill, when it is passed, it becomes appropriation act. That means you can withdraw money from consolidated fund of India, and only the amount of money which is mentioned in the bill or which is mentioned in the act. So accordingly, an appropriation bill is introduced, and it gives power to the government to withdraw funds from consolidated fund of India for meeting the expenditure during the financial year. Beautifully. Then passing of finance bill, this is very important. This is where the government gets the right to tax people or to get money from. So every year tax rates are changed, or the finance minister announces that what kind of corporate tax are we deciding for the next year, what kind of income tax, what level of income tax are we deciding for the next year. So again, the government cannot do that unless some law is there which has been passed by parliament, and that law is created with the help of finance bill. Once the finance bill is passed by parliament, it becomes finance act, and finance bill is a money bill. Okay, so the Rajya Sabha cannot reject it. Only the Lok Sabha, where MPs directly elected by the people of India sit, only Lok Sabha can reject it or approve it. Rajya Sabha has to approve it. It is bound to do that. So the finance bill is introduced to give effect to the financial proposal of Government of India for the following year. That means where does the government want to get its money from. So that's the financial proposal. Money bill as defined under Article 110 of the Constitution, the proposals of the government for levy of new taxes, modification of existing tax structure, for example your income tax, or continuance of the existing tax structure beyond the period approved by Parliament are submitted to Parliament through this bill. So the finance bill is accompanied by a memorandum containing explanations of the provisions included in it. For example, if the income tax has to be increased for that particular year, then explanations have to be made as part of finance bill only. And as I told you, there are many other provisions included as part of finance bill which are presented as money bills. For example, the Aadhaar Act was there, so it was presented as part of finance bill, and some schemes or some other provisions also get passed by the government which are felt important for the country. So, and many of them get questioned also that it's not correct to pass such provisions as part of finance bill, but those oppositions and those debates continue to go on, but every government actually does that, resorts to that practice. Now moving on to the body part 3, and the body part 3 will talk about additionally elucidate the necessity of an interim budget. So first of all, there should be a linkage between the body part 2 and body part 3. So start by introducing what is interim budget. So an interim budget is presented when the term of current government is coming to an end, typically in an election year. For example, if elections are supposed to be held after 2 months, then there are chances that the present government, since it is in power right now when we have February 1, this government was in power, but it might not be in power for the rest of the year. So which government will have the power to take care of the expenses of the citizens of India, or to take care of revenue generation of citizen of India? Either is it going to be the past government or the future government that will come out after elections? So in such a case, out of respect, an interim budget is created, because it's wrong on the present government's part to launch a full year budget. Alright, because it will not have the rights, if it does not come to power after the elections, to spend or to decide how people's money would be spent in the rest of the year. So it is usually brought out in an election year, and the money appropriation and first of all, only that much amount of money is taken out of or withdrawn of Consolidated Fund of India, which is essential for those, let's say 2-3 months before elections, or by the time elections are complete and new government takes over. Okay, so that's why we call it interim budget. And only the needed schemes are run. New schemes cannot be launched, because let's say a very popular scheme is launched that everybody would be provided government jobs in the country. Such schemes are launched by many countries, and such scheme would help the present government come to power back again. So this is not politically right. This is not right for the other political parties who are contesting elections. So it is very strict practice that new schemes should not be launched, any popular measures should not be taken, a lot of extravagant expenditure should not be done, and complete respect to the Constitution of India should be given. So typically in an election year, that's when it is launched, and it is a provisional financial statement that allows the government to meet its expenditure until a new government is formed. And if the same political party comes to power after the elections, then the same political party has to bring out a full year budget and a complete economic survey once it comes to power. So the interim budget is distinct from regular budget in that it generally avoids introducing new policies or making significant changes to existing ones. A lot of money should not be spent. So, and focus on only essential expenditures is laid to keep the government functioning until the new government presents a full-fledged budget. So then you can explain the need for an interim budget arises due to the constitutional requirement that the government must have parliamentary approval for its expenditures, and after the elections are held, if the new government comes to power, then the previous government does not have any parliamentary approval for its expenditures, because then it will not hold majority in the parliament. So it gets parliamentary approval for the rest of its term, that is 2-3 months. So as the tenure of a government concludes, it is crucial to ensure that there is a provision for funds to cover essential expenses until the new government is in place. The interim budget serves this purpose, providing a financial roadmap for the interim period while allowing the incoming government to formulate its own comprehensive budget after taking office. So it gives freedom to the upcoming government also, to the new government also, and it provides for money for essential expenses of the previous government also. So you need to remember this and write this in paragraph format because it has been asked as a very short question. Additionally, elucidate the necessity of an interim budget. So I think this would take around 50 to 70 words, not more than that. Conclude it within that word limit so that you don't cross the 400 words mark. Now in the conclusion, just summarize both parts of the answer because there is no way forward, there is nothing to change. It's a constitutional practice, and the budget and everything is very constitutional, so you cannot give a recommendation or a solution. There are no recommendations or solutions required. So just summarize both parts of the answer, summarizing the budget part. So in conclusion, understanding the general processes involved in the union budget provides insights into the meticulous planning and execution of India's fiscal policies, or otherwise alternatively you can emphasize on the idea or vision of budget. Okay, and you can also emphasize on the theme of this year's budget in like one line conclusion. But this year you won't have that chance if you are writing the phase 2 examination before the final budget is presented. Otherwise, theme of the budget can be very well used to write in your conclusions. Then the second is summarizing the interim budget, and kindly include both of these lines as part of one paragraph only. So moreover, recognizing the significance of an interim budget underscores the importance of maintaining financial stability during transitional periods, ensuring the continuity of essential government functions until a new budget can be formulated. So done and dusted, that's your answer for the day. I hope this discussion has been interesting to you. And I'm displaying the question again. Obviously, you get free evaluation if you post your model answers in the comment section under this video. But the time bar is 48 hours. So kindly do that. Do it before that. That is before Sunday 5 p.m. And we'll provide you with a very comprehensive and free, totally free of cost evaluation. For those of you who are paid students of EduTap courses, especially the RBI Grade B course, we provide you with model answers for the paid course only. And these model answers are present in chapter 25 of ESI and chapter 27 of Finance. So kindly refer to those. Now I'm getting back to the chat section. If you have any additions to make, we'll be happy to learn from you. And if you have any errors to point out, any doubts to point out, I'll be happy to address them. You can send your feedback in the comment section or at hello@edutap.co.in. I keep looking at your comments to see what topics you want me to take on priority. So Financial Inclusion Index has been raised as a recent recommendation. So the next session, it will focus on population explosion in the country, which has recently popped up in news, and after that we'll try to take up Financial Inclusion Index as well. Alright, so you're welcome Lucifer, Nitya, Sejal. I'm really happy, Nitya, that you understood that very well. Ma'am, can we get this on PDF? Yes, you're definitely getting the PDF. For that you'll have to join our Telegram channel. The link to that channel is given in the description below. Join that, follow the previous PDFs also, download them. And for this PDF, you'll have to wait till the next morning, that is tomorrow morning. And that's all. So you can download the complete PDF and information from there. You're welcome, Raj. I'm really happy to know that, Pranali. I hope this session has been helpful for you. Okay. So guys, okay, Quant Academy, I'm happy to know that you're participating and you're very welcome. So guys, I'll see you on Monday at 5 p.m. and then we'll talk about population explosion and more interesting topics coming up. It's the new financial year, it's the new year. So we'll have more indices being released, more reports coming up. So a lot of interesting discussions on Perspective 360 degree. Stay tuned to our channel, especially for the 360 degree series that we are running. Kritika ma'am, Gurkirat sir, Devanshu sir, all of them are working really hard for your success. You just have to watch the videos and download the relevant PDFs from Telegram channel. So stay tuned, all the very best and stay blessed.